There was a large mansion located on a mountain. A father was telling his daughter a story, that in this world, there are many Pokémon yet to be discovered, only known through legends. The book he held was filled with drawings of Pokémon imagined by its author. One of the Pokémon they were looking at was called Unown. And this one, her favorite Pokémon, was the legendary Entei, because it was powerful and kind, just like her dad. Sometimes, he would pretend to be Entei to make her happy. While they were playing together, the father received an email. A student of his reported signs of Unown appearing among some ruins. He had to go there immediately. So, the father promised to see Molly again later and set out for his mission. In a distant desert, Professor Snowdon's students had discovered ruins linked to the Pokémon Unown. When he picked up a wooden tablet from the ground, an Unown briefly appeared and then vanished. Looking down, he noticed a box filled with similar wooden pieces. Suddenly, numerous Unown appeared and transported him to another dimension. After that, there was no trace of the professor. His student had no choice but to report to the butler that the professor was gone, leaving behind only these artifacts. Meanwhile, Molly excitedly ran in, thinking her father had come home. But instead, she received shocking news. Back in her room, she couldn't believe it. She still sent him an email, hoping he'd return soon. Then, Molly poured out the wooden Unown pieces to play with, thinking it was just a regular puzzle. But after a while, the pieces began to glow. At the ruins in the desert, many Unown appeared. They flew up into the sky, passed through a portal, and arrived at Molly's location. Her room was suddenly filled with mysterious purple crystals. When others tried to enter the room, they were trapped by the crystals as well. Molly looked at the book with Entei and remembered her father. Perhaps, the Unown had turned her wish into reality, because the legendary Pokémon Entei had appeared. Innocently, Molly believed it was her father pretending to be Entei again, just like they used to play. Even Entei began to wonder, could he really be her father? When morning came, the entire mansion was completely covered in crystal structures. Meanwhile, Ash and his friends were continuing their journey toward the Johto League. Today, their adventure carried on as usual. Along the way, the group met a girl. When she found out that Ash was also a Pokémon trainer, the two decided to have a friendly battle. After the match, they all stayed together to have lunch. Brock took the chance to ask the girl Rin about the nearest Pokémon Center. Coincidentally, she was also heading there. After finishing lunch, they all set off together. They just needed to cross one last hill to reach their destination. But when they got to the top, what they saw was shocking. The mansion, along with the surrounding houses, was completely frozen by spreading crystal formations. These crystals were expanding day by day. Even news reporters had arrived to broadcast the strange event live on TV. At that very moment, Ash's mom happened to be watching. She was stunned. This was the home of Professor Snowdon's, who used to be a student of Professor Oak in his younger years. Worried, she immediately left to inform Professor Oak about what was happening. They also learned that Professor Hale had a young daughter. Concerned for her safety, Ash's mom and Professor Oak decided to go there together. Team Rocket had followed them all the way to this city. Seeing all the sparkling lights, they thought there might be some hidden treasures inside, so they decided to sneak in. Everyone eventually reunited at the town's Pokémon Center. From inside, Molly watched the gentle and caring gestures of Ash's mother. It reminded her of her own mom, who had passed away early. Feeling lonely, Molly deeply longed for a mother's love. Entei heard her wish and agreed to fulfill it. Outside, Ash's mother was sharing how she used to know Professor Snowdon's. After learning that his daughter was now all alone, she came here to help. Meanwhile, Entei was galloping straight toward Ash's group. Wherever it ran, flowers and grass instantly turned into crystals. Pikachu sensed danger right away and got ready to fight, but before anyone could react, Entei used hypnosis on Ash's mom and carried her away on its back. Pikachu grabbed its tail, but the others couldn't keep up. Even Pikachu's electric attack had no effect, and it got knocked off. Once they arrived, Ash's mom regained consciousness, but she was still under hypnosis. Molly was overjoyed to finally have both a mom and a dad by her side. She told Entei she wanted things to stay this way forever. Outside, the crystal structures continued to grow larger and spread wider. Whatever Molly wished for, Entei would make it come true. Professor Oak had been researching the mysterious Pokémon from legend. Somehow, it had become real and was behind all of this. At that moment, Charizard was training in the Dragon Valley. It happened to catch a news report showing Ash chasing after his mom. Charizard immediately felt that something was wrong. Back in the town, the police had dispatched a bulldozer to break a path to the mansion, but Molly saw it and became furious. The Unown reacted instantly. The growing crystal towers blocked the path and froze the bulldozer in place. Later, the Pokémon Center received a video message from Molly. In it, she warned them all she now had a loving mother and father, and no one else was allowed to come near. Ash, desperate for news about his mom, decided to go after her himself. His two friends followed close behind. Rin handed Ash her Pokegear so he could stay in contact with the outside. The group followed a river path toward the crystal-covered castle. Meanwhile, Team Rocket was still tailing them. They figured that riding the hot air balloon would have been a lot easier, but just their luck. Entei suddenly appeared and fired a massive fireball, sending their balloon crashing down. Ironically, the crash helped them land safely right inside the castle. Outside, Ash and his friends had arrived at the waterfall. He sent up Bulbasaur and Chikorita first, then used skill to pull the others up one by one. Molly was observing everything through her computer screen. By chance, Ash's mother also saw her son and it snapped her out of hypnosis. She quickly calmed herself, trying not to give away that she was awake. Once everyone was up, the group proceeded inside. Suddenly, Ash's Pokegear rang. It was Rin calling to check in. Professor Oak overheard and scolded Ash loudly. Then he shared a theory this might all be caused by the Unown. Snowdons once said that Unown could sense the hearts of other beings. Combined with the video message from Molly, it was likely that all of this had been created from the girl's imagination. Ash called out Cyndaquil and had it use Flamethrower, managing to open a hole in the crystal door, but it quickly sealed back up. They came up with a new plan. Use a fire type to open a hole, then a water type to push them through like a pipeline. In the end, Ash held onto his two Pokémon and jumped through just before it closed again. They ventured deep into the mansion. While walking up a staircase, the surrounding space suddenly began to shift. Not knowing what lay ahead, they kept moving forward. At the end of the path, they were greeted by a beautiful field of flowers. They realized this must be a world born from Molly's imagination. Meanwhile, Team Rocket burst through the entrance. They, too, were getting close to the center of the tower where the Unown waited. Although Molly knew intruders were in her tower, she allowed them to continue because she wanted a Pokémon battle. She dreamed of growing up to control and battle with Pokémon. Entei immediately agreed. If it made his daughter happy, then it would be done. He dashed outside and created an image of Molly riding on his back, almost as if carrying her spirit. At the same time, he transformed her into an older version of herself. Soon after, they met face to face. Molly asked if Ash and his friends were Pokémon trainers. Though they were, Ash didn't have time to battle right now. He asked Entei where his mother was. Molly simply said that only her family lived here. Brock, realizing something was off, figured this might also be part of Molly's illusions. He immediately volunteered to battle in Ash's place, and told Ash to go follow where Entei had gone earlier. His mother might be there. It made sense, so Ash and Misty went off in that direction. Entei, carrying Molly, leapt back and created a battlefield. A crystal dome formed around them. Flaffy was sent out on Molly's side, while Brock chose Zubat. Then he told it to use Supersonic, and Molly's Pokémon was immediately hit and became confused. Taking advantage of the moment, Zubat launched a wing attack, but Molly quickly gave the order to dodge. After dodging successfully for the second time, Flaffy responded with an electric shock, ending the round. Since the rule was a 3-on-3 battle, Brock sent out another Pokémon Vulpix, while Molly also sent in another one. This time it was Teddiursa. All of her Pokémon were adorable. The little bear ran in and delivered a direct punch, then both Pokémon rushed in and began close combat. After fighting for a while, Vulpix became exhausted. Out of nowhere, Team Rocket somehow managed to make it to this place too, climbing up the same staircase Ash had used earlier. This time, Brock sent out his strongest Pokémon, while Molly called out Phanpy and ordered it to use Rapid Spin. With just a light touch, Iwaku was sent flying. Ash's group was still doing their best to move forward, and just ahead was the exit. Inside, Ash's mom was having a conversation with the real Molly. The girl said she really liked that book and offered to give it to her. Molly said that she used to feel very lonely being here alone, but now that she had both a dad and a mom, she didn't need the book anymore. Ash's mom felt deeply sympathetic and sorry for Molly. When they reached the end of the path, the scene waiting for them was a beach. Then Molly appeared together with Entei, which meant Brock had lost the battle, so her next opponent was Misty, who introduced herself as the gym leader of Hanada. Molly was very excited when she heard that, surprised that someone so young was already a gym leader. Immediately, Entei shrank Molly down to match her opponent's size, giving her the demeanor of a real gym leader. Ash continued his mission to find his mother, leaving this place to Misty. Knowing her opponent specialized in water-type Pokémon, Molly immediately summoned a giant wave to create an underwater battlefield. At first, it seemed impossible to breathe, but surprisingly, this too was part of Molly's imagination. The girl called out her first Pokémon, which was Kingdra, while Misty sent out Goldeen. Molly's Pokémon attacked with Smokescreen, and after it landed, followed up with a headbutt. Misty instantly ordered a Fury attack, but Kingdra easily dodged them all, and Goldeen lost its ability to continue battling. Team Rocket truly had iron will no matter how hard or dangerous it was. They still tried to follow along. Misty's next Pokémon was Staryu, while Molly called out Mantane. The two Pokémon charged at each other head-on. Molly ordered a Whirlpool attack, creating a spinning vortex around Staryu, followed by a Bubble Beam. Misty ordered Hydodman to spin in the opposite direction, immediately breaking through the vortex. The two sides then continued clashing with each other. Finally, Ash had reached the place where his mother was. He asked how she was doing. then explained that Entei and all the crystals inside this tower were created from Molly's imagination. It was the Pokémon Unown that had helped make them real. After that, Ash's mother called out to the real Molly to wake her up and escape. She also confessed everything to Molly, that she was Ash's mother, and they were just acquaintances who had once met in Pallet Town. Molly began to step back, completely shocked by the truth and unable to accept it. The girl became very angry, and the Unown also fell into chaos because of that, creating sharp crystal spikes that separated Ash from his mother. The crystals outside the tower grew even larger as a result, but fortunately, both of them were unharmed. Molly then created a crystal cage to trap herself inside. Ash managed to find a way out for his mother, but just at that moment, Entei returned. The girl said her mother was about to be taken away, and right then the path was sealed. Entei gave a warning to Ash, telling him to leave, saying that woman was now Molly's mother, but Ash refused to accept it. Since they couldn't agree, there was no choice but to fight. Ash called out Totodile, which used water gun, but Entei easily dodged the attack. Then came a flamethrower. In return, Totodile couldn't avoid it completely and was hit. Ash quickly recalled the Pokemon, then sent out Cyndaquil. But how could normal Pokemon possibly stand up to a legendary one? Ash told the truth that Entei was just an illusion created from Molly's mind. Molly screamed in denial, and the crystal structures grew even bigger. Spikes shot out everywhere along with a snowstorm. Entei roared, claiming he was the girl's father. Pikachu attacked, but it had no effect. Entei dodged while countering at the same time, and its power was completely overwhelming. Meanwhile, Ash's mother was trying to convince Molly to remember her real parents. At that moment, Team Rocket suddenly appeared in the middle of the battle and almost got blasted away. By now, Pikachu was exhausted and about to be hit by Entei's attack. Ash jumped in to shield Pikachu and got blown out of the tower. Just when it seemed like everything was over, Charizard arrived just in time to save them. At the very least, it should take a fully evolved Pokemon to stand a chance in this kind of battle. Molly was surprised when she heard Ash introduce Charizard as his friend, but Entei didn't care. He charged in and sent Charizard flying. Just as Charizard was about to fall again, Ash's friend arrived just in time to catch him. Even though no one really knew why Team Rocket was there, they were ignored, seeing that he couldn't win through fighting. Ash switched to persuasion, trying to talk Molly out of it, but the girls still wouldn't agree, so the attacks continued. Ash's mom told Entei that he couldn't replace Molly's real father. Entei replied that as long as the girl needed him, he could. Then the two sides resumed their fight, launching flamethrower attacks at each other and causing a huge explosion. When Entei saw that Molly might be in danger, he jumped out of the tower to avoid hurting her. Charizard chased after him, and the fight carried on upward. Ash ordered a flamethrower, and it hit, causing Entei to fall. Seeing her father in danger, Molly created crystal spikes to catch him. Wherever Entei jumped, the crystals rose to support him. When they reached the top of the tower, the battle continued. With its flying advantage, Charizard forced Entei to keep leaping around to dodge. At the end of the platform, Entei was finally hit. Ash tried to talk while attacking, but Entei didn't seem to care. The more Ash spoke, the harder Entei attacked. At that moment, the only thing Entei wanted was to make Molly's wish come true. He launched a massive fireball, and Charizard countered with its own flames. Ash's words had started to reach Molly a little. Entei dove down and hit Ash's group. This time, Charizard tried his best to avoid Entei's rage. Crystal spikes kept forming around him, making it hard for Ash's team to move. Eventually, they were struck again and stopped. Then, Entei landed a close-range blow that knocked Charizard down, stepping on his opponent. Entei prepared to finish the battle, but right at that moment, Molly appeared and called out. She said she'd had enough and asked her father to stop, and so, Entei didn't attack anymore. Everyone began encouraging Molly, telling her to step outside and experience the world. She would definitely make friends and wouldn't feel lonely anymore. They could all battle Pokemon together. Molly looked toward Ash's mom. Entei stood silently beside her. The choice was entirely up to Molly, and in the end, she accepted. The crystal structures surrounding them began to slowly disappear. Entei said it was created with the purpose of making Molly happy, and now that she had chosen the outside world, it would vanish. Suddenly, countless ice-like spikes rose from the ground. This wasn't something Molly had created. Entei used flamethrower to open a path for everyone. It turned out the Unown could no longer control their powers. This time, the crystallization process was even faster and stronger. Below, the group was still being attacked by crystal spikes. When they reached the area where the Unown were, Ash saw that they were extremely unstable. Not knowing what else to do, he recklessly jumped in himself. Then he even told Charizard to follow his lead. The flamethrower had an immediate effect, but the Unown repelled it, and things returned to how they were. This time it was Pikachu's turn. After regaining consciousness, Charizard joined in too. Even though they could break through the shield, they were still knocked back. The more unstable the Unown became, the more crystal spikes they created, even blocking the entrances and exits. Finally, their strongest ally arrived. After burning through all the spikes, Charizard jumped down. Entei told Molly that he was truly happy to have been her father. The last thing he could do was help her escape from here. he would always remain as part of her dream, saying that, Entei charged into the unknown, even though it was painful, he didn't stop, with help. From Ash's Pokémon and Molly's encouragement, Entei broke through the barrier and fired a powerful energy beam into the center. The energy inside exploded, releasing a blinding light. The unknown finally calmed down. Entei appeared again in spirit form, saying thank you and goodbye to Molly. He would now return to her dreams. The unknown fell along with the wooden tiles that had carvings of them. The tiles vanished, and the unknown flew into the portal. Everything returned to how it was before, and the forest regained its lush green color. The sun was beginning to rise. This was the true form of the town. Professor Oak's team had arrived, along with many police officers. Team Rocket didn't get anything this time either, but they were genuinely happy for Molly. After all the unknown passed through the desert portal, Professor Snowden had returned, and with that, the movie comes to an end. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like for motivation. Thank you so much and goodbye.